guys, it's Kevin again, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing The Originals, Season 1, Episode 7, Bloodletting. By far, this was the most intense, insane, crazy episode of The Originals, and also the best episode of the season. This was, without a doubt, the best episode of the season. There were so many emotional performances tonight. There was so much emotion in this episode, and a lot of stuff we found out, and that big twist at the end, oh my god. And now we have to wait a week for this show, which I'm really upset about. But, before I say it, The Originals was finally decided. They picked it up for a full season, and I'm really happy about that because I really didn't want to have to watch only 9 episodes of this show. And I'm really happy that they now have a 22 episode full, 22 full episodes to come, and I think that's really great because I love this show, I love where it's going, and I really love the theme of this episode was basically about who is Klaus's family, who's not. The biggest thing that I did not know about this episode was that Tyler came back in this episode, and it's pretty big why he came back. As we know, when he left the Vampire Diaries, he told Caroline that he was going to see Klaus and basically hunt him down and try to basically kill him. Now, when he does this, at first we see that he is actually the one who has taken Haley. It's not Marcel, it's Tyler who took her. And he's basically threatening to kill Haley. And he basically knew that this would make Klaus just want to go, find the person who did this and get them right away. He knew that would make him really upset. So that's why he did it, was basically to egg Klaus on. And that's exactly what happened. Klaus arrived as soon as that happened, but basically, Tyler was going on all this BS about her baby and everything. And we didn't really know what was going on here, but he was trying to basically kill her and the baby. And as soon as this happens, Klaus arrives, though, and here we get the biggest scene of the episode. You see Klaus, he's kind of like, what do you think he asked Tyler a very important question. What do you think Caroline would say if she knew you acted this way? Because, I mean, it really is a pretty big thing that he asked him about Caroline. And, he said, I know one thing. She'd probably hate you no matter what. She'd still hate you no matter what. What? Caroline does not hate Klaus. I'm sorry, you might think that, but Caroline does not hate Klaus. Caroline just honestly is falling for that Jesse guy. She doesn't care about you, Tyler. She doesn't care about Klaus. She cares about that Jesse guy. But that's the Vampire Diaries. That's something completely different. But, basically, he's fighting with Tyler and everything. And we had a really intense scene with Tyler. And, it ended up not working out for them. And, basically, Klaus just basically said goodbye to Tyler and everything. And, that's what happened. But also what happened was that Haley met up with Elijah and everything. So they met up. And Klaus sees Haley and Elijah. He starts talking to them and everything. And he starts to realize that maybe these people really aren't my family. He just gets really, really upset over this. He says, you aren't, Rebekah isn't, Elijah isn't, Haley isn't, my inborn child isn't going to be. He just gets really upset. He goes to Elijah and he tries to he stabs him in the throat. Elijah's okay because, I mean, he's a vampire, but he just gets really, really upset over this, and, he's just really upset, and, he has a right to be, because, there was something earlier in the episode that I definitely want to talk about Marcel and Rebekah, where, Marcel was going on this whole thing with basically, telling Rebekah that Klaus is the real person here who Rebekah should be mad at, not Marcel, and, this deeply hurt Klaus when he found out that all these people really just think he's a villain. They all think he's a villain. It was very cool to see that in this episode. Basically, we got to see everyone's perspective of Klaus, and then we got to see Klaus' perspective. And by the way, this is the reason that Joseph Morgan was nominated for a People's Choice Award for Favorite New Actor. Because he is incredible. That whole scene with him just so pissed off and he's throwing things at the wall, throwing darts at the wall. It was amazing to see that. He gave a really great performance in this episode, definitely. So he goes on to talk with Rebekah and everything. And he's talking with Rebekah. And he says that he wants to fight Marcel. But we found out something very interesting about this. That when someone kills an original, all of the other originals die. Every single original that was ever made dies. Now, this really kind of ruins ruins what happened on the Vampire Diaries last year, which I'm kind of confused about because supposedly Cole that Elena killed last year wasn't original, so shouldn't have all the vampires died if that happened? I don't really know, but it seems like it's really cool the way that works, but I'm just kind of confused because they said Cole was an original on the Vampire Diaries last year, and only Cole died. None of them, none of the other ones died. I'm guessing they're just saying this to create tension, and there's more to this than they think. I'm not really sure. But basically, Klaus wants to take down Marcel, and he tells Rebekah that she is his family, and his only family, basically, and they have a really nice scene together. But then the episode ends on a big cliffhanger. This was huge. This came out of nowhere. We see Tyler and Marcel and that one other guy from last week. I can't remember his name. What was his name? I can't think of his name right now. But they're talking everything, and they basically say that Haley cannot have that vampire baby, that hybrid baby, because when she has that hybrid baby, it is going to kill every single vampire that there is. So I had a feeling that this was going to happen, and it's true. Haley is pregnant with a monster that's going to kill everyone if it's born. So somehow they're going to have to find a way to kill the baby, and it's really huge because, it really just is a huge twist. Now honestly, that came out of nowhere. I just thought that Tyler was talking to Haley to distract and, to basically get Klaus over there. And it turns out that there actually is a legitimate reason why he was there to report to Marcel. And so is Tyler working for Marcel? I don't know if Tyler's going to be on again, but I'd really like to see that happen because that's a really interesting storyline. I really hope they do this right. I'm sure they will, but it's really cool, and I can't wait to see how this all works out because it's going to be really cool to see that, definitely, and I really love that. So yeah, Klaus's plot by far was really, really cool. I really loved the emotion in this episode. And by far this was Joseph Morgan's, I think, best performance on this show. He just gave a really great performance. The other big scene we have to talk about, the other big thing is Davina. Davina was holding this one boy she found who he has recently become a vampire. And she was talking to him and everything. And we find out that he's a gay person who used to go to clubs and everything. He likes a lot of club music. And, eventually, she has to perform, all these spells on him and everything. And eventually they're talking and everything. And, what he says is that, how can you be so normal? And she says, normal? I'm a 16-year-old. I love her line when she's like, I'm a 16-year-old witch, but I don't want to be and everything. And he says he doesn't really want to be either. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but they have a really nice friendship here. I really like the friendship between these two. And I've really grown to love Davina. She's definitely my favorite new character on here out of all of them. Oh, by the way, Cammy was not on this episode. I don't know where Cammy went, but Cammy was not on this episode. Where she was, I don't know. For some reason, they're showing Cammy every few episodes. That's what it seems like they're doing. They're only showing her every few episodes. And, okay, that's fine, I guess, but, I really love this episode. I really thought it was a great episode. There's some really big things here, especially the whole thing with Haley's, child potentially, Haley's child potentially killing all of them. Do you think they'll be able to stop the baby from doing that? Do you think they'll be able to kill the baby? Because honestly, that's the only way they can do this. If they kill the baby, that's how they'll do this. Unfortunately, we have to wait a week for the originals because Lady Gaga has some special on the CW next week. So I'll be watching Ravenswood at that time. But this episode was fantastic. I really loved it. I thought the amount of intensity on this episode was great. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. What did you think about Klaus's stuff with his family? Do you think they'll be able to take down Marcel? Also, the thing with the vampire. Let me know what you think of that, where when they kill an original, all the others die. Do you think that really screws up the Vampire Diaries stuff, or do you think it makes sense? Or, and also, do you think we'll see more of Tyler? I really hope we do, because I'd really liked seeing his storyline. But I'd like to see Caroline also come onto the show, which I've actually heard they're possibly thinking of putting Caroline on the original season 2, or I'd say like midway through the season, have Caroline leave Mystic Falls and come to New Orleans, because that'd be amazing. If Caroline comes to the originals, it's going to be amazing. But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know what you guys thought of this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.